Welcome back to the Ed Show. This is the story for the folks who take a shower after work. Liberals in this country, by polling, show that they do not want military action or intervention in Syria. There's been a major outcry from progressives asking Congress for a no vote to President Obama's resolution for a limited strike in Syria. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are starting to listen to their constituents. Earlier today, Senator John McCain held 2 town hall meetings to hear from constituents in his home state of Arizona. But McCain's motive seems to be to make President Obama look bad.
The President of the United States said that he was going to respond to the chemical weapons attacks that Bashar Assad committed, but then said, but I'm going to go to Congress for a resolution. Now, why didn't he say at the time, he said, I'm going to have a strike, but I'm going to Congress? You lose credibility.
Is that all you got on the president, Senator McCain? Give me a break. The majority of Americans are glad he went to the Congress. On the flip side, several Democratic leaders have come on this program to express their concerns over the United States interfering in a civil war in Syria.
This president came into office and was elected twice based on getting us out of war, not getting us into wars.
If the effort does not go well, sometime in the future, it could mean American troops on the ground.
We ought to get an amendment ready to put a tax on to pay for it.
We've got our own problems to deal with. People don't want us to be the policeman for the world any longer. They don't want us to be the judge, the jury, or the executioner.
The Progressive Campaign Committee, the Progressive Change Campaign Committee, the PCCC, this is a group that doesn't shy away from challenging Democrats when they don't act progressive. And they are sending a memo to Congress saying that the base overwhelmingly opposes intervention into Syria. Adam Green, co-founder of the PCCC, joins me tonight. Adam, good to have you with us. Do you have a sense where the liberal base is in this country, and is it at a fever pitch?
We do have a sense. I would say first that the Progressive Change Campaign Committee was the first organization to publicly praise President Obama for giving Congress this option, for following the Constitution and allowing the people's representatives to have a vote. But we had an intensive 72-hour survey of our national membership, every state, every congressional district. And by an overwhelming margin, the 57,000 people who took that survey said, do not bomb Syria. The margin was 73% to 18% among the progressive base, Ed.
So why aren't liberals with President Obama? They fought so hard to get him in office. He's had some national security victories. He has wind down took us out of war in Iraq, is winding down in Afghanistan. All of the things that he wanted and campaigned on that liberals wanted him to do, he's done. So where's the division here?
Yeah, so what we found was that a lot of progressives totally agree with the president's assessment of the problem. Nobody wants President Assad to be doing what he's doing to his people, chemical weapons, and even the 100,000 people that died beforehand. The problem is with the solution. We asked our members, what do you think the goal is in Syria? And there were a lot of opinions. Some said we should be pushing for a ceasefire. Some said we should depose the current president of Syria. Some said we should deter him from using chemical weapons. But they all agreed on one key fact, which is that a limited bombing campaign will not achieve their own goals. And also many people thought that once we bomb a little bit and declare war on this country, that will escalate into a long-term fight. 81% of the people thought that if we do this, we're in there for the long haul. It's not a short-term operation.
You get a sense that liberals are concerned that the president has backed himself into a corner with all the red line talk and the talk of moral obligations and images in the world?
Well, I think they agree with the moral obligation. There's an impulse to do something, but there are other things we can do. We can still engage in diplomacy with other nations. In particular, use our influence with allies that have some leverage with Russia and China. Try to get them to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. We can do some of this stuff through diplomacy. We can do a lot of humanitarian aid to actually help people on the ground. There are many solutions out there, but for the president or any others to say there is only one option, and that one option is war, and therefore if you want to do something, that is your only option, and we're going to do it through a limited strike, That's the false choice that many people are aware of, even many of President Obama's own voters and supporters.
And what would it take to convince liberals that this is the thing to do? You get a sense from your organization that has some million members to it, very progressive, very active, supporting candidates in the thick of it all the time. What would it take for the president to convince them that this is the right thing to do, you think?
I think people would need a very clear sense of what the goal is and a very clear argument of why a limited bombing of Syria would actually achieve the goal. And unfortunately, when Secretary of State Kerry was asked some of these key questions when he testified before Congress, he said, oh, we should talk about that in classified committee, meaning we can't tell the American people the answers to those questions. Honestly, the burden of proof is on those who are saying we need to go to war. I think it's completely acceptable for Americans and Democratic members of Congress to have the default be, we're not going to war until you make the ironclad case that here's the goal, here's why this is the only acceptable option to reach that goal. And until we have that case made, the overwhelming majority of Americans and progressives say, don't bomb Syria.
All right. And I would think that next week will be a very active week for the PCCC. Adam Green, good to have you with us tonight. Thank you.